the best of money matters. Under the Radar.
You're listening to Money FM 89.3, and it's now time for a special on-the-go episode of Under the Radar with me, Chua Tian Tian. Now, earlier this year, we shared with you that we'll be bringing you some of the on-the-ground reporting of key business events, launches, features, or developers' days under the Under the Radar Specials banner. And now I'm fulfilling the promise we made by bringing you insights from a key business event that is said to be the equivalent of, get this, a Taylor Swift concert in the world of finance. And yes, I'm talking about insights from the 2025 Berkshire Hathaway Shareholders Meeting held in Omaha in the US on the 3rd of May. Now, you might have by now figured that I traveled about 50 hours just to catch a glimpse of Berkshire's chairman Warren Buffett at the start of the month. And yes, I paid for all the expenses and took a week of vacation leave just for this one. But hey, I'm not there at Berkshire's AGM alone. There is someone who's equally interested in the nuggets of financial wisdom the Oracle of Omaha has to offer. And he is none other than Willie Keng, founder of DividendTitan.com. And Willie joins me right here in the studio. Willie, welcome. What a trip.
Thank you, Tian Tian, for getting me on the show again.
Willie, we've talked a lot about the highlights from the meeting, but how different was 2025's edition of the meeting versus 2024 in terms of format of discussion and also the nature of questions that were posed by shareholders this time around?
I think, generally speaking, format of the entire AGM remains roughly the same. I mean, if you look at Warren Buffett, the way he does it is he tries to teach and share his insights to his shareholders. Now, what is different between last year's and this year's AGM is, I think it's, number one, last year you have the recent passing of Charlie Munger, and I think a lot of emotions and a lot of questions were geared towards Warren Buffett and how he deals without his right-hand man. This year is slightly different. If we see there was actually more airtime given to his vice chairman, Greg Abel. Exactly. So more questions about Greg Abel, and I think investors are more curious about trying to find out who Berkshire Hathaway's potential CEO will be. And I think those are the questions revolving that and how Greg Abel will sort of steer Berkshire Hathaway going forward. So I guess that's pretty much the observation and the feel of what I'm getting for this year's Berkshire Hathaway's AGM.
Because if we look at the Q&A sessions, they were split into two parts, right? First part of the Q&A was dedicated to Warren Buffett himself and the vice chairs of Berkshire Hathaway. You have Greg Abel as well as Ajit Jain. And in part two of the Q&A, you have only Warren Buffett and Greg Abel. I don't know whether it was done on purpose to pave the way towards Buffett announcing his retirement. So that's in terms of the format and the questions being asked in general, a lot of questions surrounding advice, right?
Yeah.
Advice more so than on the financials of the company on its own.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. And I think what you have rightly pointed out there, Tian Tian, the second part, you see Ajit Jain disappearing and only him and Greg Abel were on stage sharing more about Berkshire Hathaway. So I think it presents itself a certain optics that going forward, Greg Abel will be the main steward of the entire business, and he will be the main function as capital allocator and the investment manager as well.
And Willie, we've talked about the highlights, the meeting, and after the meeting or even before the meeting, you've attended some networking events. So what are some of the peripheral events or activities that shareholders can join?
I mean, first of all, because for me personally, I'm a CFA charter holder. So the first event which I will actually book is the CFA Nebraska event, which happens on the Thursday evening, which leads up to the AGM itself. And I guess it's, meeting all the different CFA from all across the world and specifically in the region itself. Of course, there are other events such as the Gabelli Conference. And one more important one, if you are still really excited about Berkshire Hathaway after the Saturday's AGM, then you should attend the Markel morning brunch, free breakfast, and at the same time, you're also meeting a very strong, what you call a mini Berkshire company or business, which has very close replication to Berkshire Hathaway. So I think that is something which is not to be missed, especially if you are a first-time attendee of the AGM.
You know what? I was traveling with my mother, so we decided instead of going for the networking events, we'll spend some time together. And we actually visited Warren Buffett's house and headed over to Buffett's favorite steakhouse called Gorat's, which was the steakhouse that you recommended as well. So here's our experience. We're right outside Warren Buffett's house along Farnham Street, and Buffett is said to have purchased the house for $31,500 back in 1958 when he was just 28 years old, and the real estate is now valued at $1.4 million. Next up, we headed over to Gorat's, a restaurant known to be Warren Buffett's favorite steakhouse. And no visit is complete without a photo with this Buffett standee. And we decided to eat like a billionaire for the day with a lobster dinner, a steak just like how Buffett would like to have it, with hash browns, and also a root beer float to wash everything down. And the food arrived. The portions were huge. But I just wish we could have a little bit more of the root beer float. And with that, we wrapped up our Buffett-themed adventure. Well, a lot of steak. But the thing about Gorat's Steakhouse, they had a special menu just for shareholders. Yep. So, yeah, you can even see a Buffett standee.
Do you take photos with the standee?
I took a photo with the Buffett standee.
It is a must. And I think the owner or the waitress would actually go around the table to get you to take photos with the standee itself.
No, I don't see that this year, though. I'm not sure is it because of the day that I visited or the time. It was evening crowd. But there were obviously a lot of people who were there, and you can tell that they were probably shareholders from the likes of it, from the things that they talk about. I'm not eavesdropping, but you hear those kind of financial jargons here and there. So that gives you a sense of what went on. And Willie, all in, how do you feel about this year's Berkshire Hathaway meeting? What are some key takeaways from you, not just in terms of the insights shared, but the general sense of how markets are doing, shareholder sentiment, and do you think you will still attend the event in person next year without Buffett being at the helm?
Well, I think a lot of, it's probably a gush of emotions. Number one, I would say that it's magical, and I never regretted listening to my wife to actually book the tickets, the flight tickets to Omaha. I really enjoyed not just the event, but also the friends which I've made. Because last year, the reason why I went to Omaha is also to connect with friends all over the world. And this time around, what was interesting for me was being able to bunk in together in an Airbnb with my friends from Canada, across Vancouver, Calgary, for instance. And we all stayed together and we really shared insights from different perspectives of investors all over the world. So that was something which is amazing for me, having, stayed in, a homebred Singaporean investor. I think it opens up the world for me, and that's really amazing. Now, when it comes to talking about markets here, I think generally the reason why people go to Berkshire Hathaway is also because, they believe in the philosophy of long-term investing. And it sort of takes away all the noise when it comes to short-term speculation. And if you talk to investors, generally they are more long-term investors. And I think it's also very motivating, especially in a time when this year you're looking at the trade war sell-off, you're looking at a lot of uncertainty. Talking to investors who are more long-term puts you back in focus. And I think this is something which, it really refreshes you when it comes to investing.
All right. Thank you so much, Willie. Once again, Willie Keng, founder, dividendtitan.com. And that was an on-the-go special of Under the Radar with insights from Berkshire Hathaway 2025 Shareholder Meeting in Omaha. I'm Chua Tian Tian.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.